Today on ANOKHI Daily Spotlight TV, we'll be speaking to director Dev Khanna and actor Raymond Ablack about their film Fondi 91, which deals with the coming-of-age experience of a young South Asian male. So Dev, Fondi 91 is your first feature-length film.
Absolutely.
After a string of short films. So how does it feel?
It feels amazing. It's a whole game changer in my life. Late 2010, 2011, we shot this film, and it was huge. It was a much bigger undertaking than I realized. And spending 6 weeks in Italy and weeks in pre-pro and then weeks in post-production.
6 weeks in Italy.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to complain about that?
That being said, it's been a beautiful experience.
One of the most important things in this film is the sort of South Asian experience. And, you know, I even identified with Anil's character because, you know, growing up in a school where there was mostly Caucasian students, you feel left out. And I think that experience is so indicative of like the diaspora in many ways, you know? So how much of your own personal experience and did the idea of the diaspora really come into this?
The entire idea of self-isolation is something that I knew. You know, this entire idea of not thinking that I felt in, so I did my own thing. Like watch films, like read books and do X, Y, Z. It wasn't until you get out of high school that you start letting go of those insecurities and you start interacting and sort of quietly accepting everything, and then you're able to really grow. And I think that's an element that's in the film. So yeah, there is quite a bit of myself in there.
How do you think his character is relevant to the South Asian experience in the context of this film?
Like one of the things was like this was a film about inaction, right? Like one of the big things was
he couldn't speak, he couldn't do
I
anything.
couldn't speak, and and so when the turning point for becoming a man, I think, is making a decision, whether it's right or wrong, is making a decision and following through with it, and then when it turns out to be wrong, and then asking for forgiveness and stuff. That becomes the next choice, but it's actually taking an initiative and an action. So I think Anil speaks to those people in that crunchy gap of trying to maneuver and become a man.
The opening of the film was very sort of significant to me because it really established Anil's character in his traditional sort of South Asian roots and family. But you know, we don't get much of that exposure. We see it through his actions, through his words, and sometimes in his inability to act and say things throughout the film as well.
Yes.
So how important was it for you to not root his character so much into those traditions?
It was important to me. I mean, I wanted to make a film from my point of view. And I was born here, I grew up here, but I grew up in an Indian household. But by growing up in an Indian household here, it's a sort of mesh of the two cultures.
It is.
So I think that I was talking to younger audience members who have seen the film during the festival, and it's a different time now than it was 15, 20 years ago when the film takes place. And I think it was a little bit more pronounced back then, the idea of being a little different. We do constantly refer back very subtly to his Indianness, but it's not the complete, you know, story. There's another bigger story that's happening, a story about youth, a story about culture, a story about clashing cultures, and the basic idea of morality and what is guilt.
And for more information on the film, you can check out Fondi91themovie.com. You can catch more of our show at ANOKHImedia.com and our YouTube channel, and you can always interact with us on Facebook and Twitter.